Ollie, thanks for coming down today.
No worries. It's my pleasure.
So I think the best place to start maybe is just for you to give a bit of background about yourself first.
Cool.
What are you up to? Where are you based? That would be interesting for viewers.
So I'm Ollie, obviously. I run a streetwear brand and website called Solus Supply. I'm based in Bournemouth at the moment, down on the south coast. Just coming up to London for the day to see you guys and go around the shops. Running my website and using Mule at the same time.
How long have you been in Bournemouth for? Have you been living there?
Yeah, I was there pretty much. I've been there born and bred all my life. But I went to uni for 4 years in Cardiff, and that's when I started using you guys. And now I'm back in Bournemouth, just doing Solus pretty much full time.
Nice. And yeah, I mean, I guess moving on to the business itself, I think it's always very interesting to hear the story of how I got started. So maybe you could kind of walk us through that.
It's a long old story.
Good.
So the word solus, I've been asked a few times. The word solus means one and only, which kind of nicely fits in with my whole streetwear brand at the moment. But originally what Solus was for was a leaflet and magazine distribution business of mine when I was 12. So I did a paper round for a week, 3 shifts, not even the full week. I was getting paid, I think £25 a week to wake up at 6 or 7, deliver some newspapers in the cold at 12 or 13 years old. And I was like, right, this isn't what I want to do. Yeah, like I was reading business books. I was reading like Alan Sugar's autobiography or biography, whatever it is.
He definitely didn't write it, did he?
I'm not sure. I think he might have done. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Some serious editing was done.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, actually, he doesn't strike me as a guy who can write a book. Alan, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, mate. I love you. It'd be great if you watched it. I started thinking, how can I actually start making my own money and not have to get up at 6 or 7 in the morning and deliver these newspapers. And luckily, I come from quite an entrepreneurial family. So my mum is self-employed and my dad has been self-employed as well. So my mum used to do these mini festivals in our town and she used to distribute leaflets for them. And so I used to distribute those leaflets for her for 20 quid for however many hundred there were. And then I thought about it and I thought, well, I make more money delivering 400 leaflets than I do delivering however many newspapers every single day or every morning for the whole week. So why don't I just start doing leaflets? And so suddenly I was like, right, I'm going to be a businessman. And I went on Vistaprint and designed these business cards. And I've still got like 200 out of the 250 that I printed. But now they're like an artifact. Like I'll just keep them and they're kind of special now. And drop them off to a couple local businesses just like on a whim. I was just with my mates in the local town that weekend at like 13 years old, just wandering around doing, I don't even know what we were doing. And I walked past this estate agents and I was like, this is quite cool. Like my mates will see me with my business card. So I just popped one through this letterbox and thought nothing of it. And then on Monday, I got a phone call from the estate agents like, oh, hello, Mr. Smith. You've left a business card at our office over the weekend and we're interested in using your services. So I was like, wow. Shit, like 13 years old, like, I don't know how tall I was back then, but like I feel like I was tiny. Chucked on my best shirt that I had. I must have just looked like such a mess. And walked over to this guy's office because obviously I couldn't drive. He was massive, huge guy, like really big personality, but also just big guy. And we went into his boardroom and sat down and talked numbers, and I was just chatting complete shit. And I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but yeah whatever. So then we shook hands on 1,500 leaflets, and I went about delivering them. And then after that, I ended up getting about 30 businesses on board in the area. I had 2 people working for me when I was doing my GCSEs.
Wow.
They were like 40, 50 years old, like just some random guys that I found. And when they turned up to like see me for the first time at my house, I was still in like my school uniform, like just chilling after school. They opened the door and they're like, hi, is like Olli Smith here? And I was like, yeah, that's me. And they were like, okay. Like I was like, yep, here's the leaflets. Like, thank you, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, that was something that earned me money. during my school years. And then I kind of just, it's not very sexy. It's not something that I really enjoyed doing. It was just something that kind of allowed me to dip my toe in business and stuff. And so in 2013, I then got really into streetwear, which is how a lot of people get into fashion in our age anyway. And obviously saw how much money you could make from Supreme and Bape and all of those big streetwear brand names. So I started queuing in London, buying them online.
I've been in the queues.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in one or two queues. Luckily, because obviously I was in Bournemouth all the time, I couldn't exactly get to London at 5 a.m. and queue, and I didn't really want to anyway. So I only managed to do that once or twice, which was kind of a shame because I didn't really get exposed to the community as much. But at the same time, I still made money off the clothes, so whatever. And yeah, then I moved the Solus distribution, kind of started to die down, the leaflet stuff. And then I thought, right, well, what can I call this clothing thing of mine? So I just came up with Solus Supply, which was mainly, as I said, selling streetwear brands on my Instagram, eBay, Facebook, Depop, all of that. And then I kind of just kept that as like a side burner during uni, during my sixth form years, and just something that was kind of like an archive for clothes that I'd buy, take cool photos of. Sometimes I'd sell them, sometimes I wouldn't. And then during my placement year at uni, I got furloughed because of COVID. So I started getting some money in and I was just sat at home with a salary. And I was like, well, what can I do with this money that I've got coming in and I've just got nothing to do? I may as well start buying more clothes. So I started buying clothes again, selling them more, like progressively more and more each month. And then a mate of mine said, why don't we build up a Shopify website for you? And then, yeah, the rest is history, as they say. Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. I just wanted to kind of circle back to the earlier entrepreneurial spirit that you showed. I mean, how much do you think that taught you, kind of lessons that you brought into the current Solus Supply venture?
Oh, it's crazy. It's, you kind of, it's only something that I've really realized in the last like few months, maybe the last year or something, is that like what you do now, like even if it's something like simple and small, it's all about those progressive changes and getting better like every day or every month or every year. So I look back at when 10 years ago when I was 12 and I'm 24. I'm not. So yeah, 12 years ago.
I got that wrong the other day.
Yeah.
Someone asked you how old you are and you're like, I actually don't know.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it was my birthday last week. So it's just like, it's very difficult to like keep up with it. I still sometimes forget that I'm not 18, but yeah, RIP. So I kind of look back and I think, shit, if I didn't do those things when I was like 12 or 13, like read that book or just try something of my own, then like who knows what I'd be doing now. I don't know if there's not many like transferable skills from like obviously running a leaflet distribution thing and running a clothing business, but I guess it's more just the kind of the determination and the grit and kind of graft. That's probably what I've transferred most. And I've just enjoyed like doing my own thing like since I was like 12 or 13. So it's just like, why not carry that on?
Yeah, it's probably the confidence as well.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you bring that into the next one.
Yeah, I was after a couple of years of doing the distribution stuff, I was cold calling companies and just going on Google and typing in like florists or pizza shops, estate agents, whatever, and just turning up and hopefully getting some business on board. So yeah, I guess that kind of, it gives you the confidence to kind of just be like, I've done this thing when I was that young, so why not do another thing? I think that's what a lot of the time what holds people back from doing that entrepreneurial stuff is probably that fear of like humiliation, but also like failure and just like exposure in general. And once you kind of done it the first time, it's like, screw it, like there's nothing to lose, may as well just do it again. And like there's no better time to start than today, really.
It's quite interesting as well when you speak to that many businesses. Sometimes people are, what if the product I sell to that first business isn't great and then I've lost that client? But I think when you sell to all of these businesses, you realize like just how many other businesses there are out there.
Yeah,
Like,
there's so many.
Just endless people to speak to and other businesses to pitch to.
And I forgot that I started off at the start of the podcast defining Solus, and I didn't actually get back to why I called it Solus. So the whole unique aspect of the leaflet distribution thing was that there were 5 leaflets normally like being delivered by one company, and obviously you just pick up 5 leaflets and throw them away. So instead I went with, you get 1 leaflet, which is the one company I'm delivering for, and your chances of getting some feedback from a customer are probably a bit higher, because obviously instead of getting 5 spam mail, you get that 1. So that's why Solus is called Solus, which is kind of weird. But it just, again, as I was saying, like when you look back now, I'm like, shit, if I never looked for that word on Google 12 years ago, then like I wouldn't have Solus Supply now, and I wouldn't have this marketing thing that I'm doing now, or who knows what I'm going to be doing in 10 years, but it all adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. And just to focus on Solus Supply a little bit. So how has it changed over time? So what versus, you know, kind of initially starting it and the products you were selling versus today, what you're selling, how you find the items?
So Solus for the majority of the time has been dedicated to selling streetwear brands, like I said, like Supreme and all of that. But obviously Supreme's hype kind of died down, and I was finding less and less like connection with the brand as years went on, especially as I saw it kind of like selling out in a way, and I was just like, right, this isn't for me anymore. And also I can't really see the hype as much anymore, so there's no point in selling it. So stopped selling that, and started reselling Merino Morwood's wrap tees and a few other different brands on my website and Instagram. But what's most important from the website is that it's kind of given me the platform to build the Solus brand in itself. So that's kind of like the dream, is to be able to I pretty much make stuff that I want to wear, and then I'm like, hopefully people will like it. And slowly I'm kind of getting a more and more, traction with it, you know? So the website, you know, growing a brand on Depop or Instagram is quite tough, I feel. Instagram maybe less so, but Depop, there's no like category for like like a independent brand. It's like, you know, there's like the Nikes and all of that, but there's no like small brand kind of aspect to it. It's very easy to get washed away with that. So having the website allowed me to kind of come out with a few things that I'd had in mind already. And now it's kind of snowballing because I've got other people who are way more talented than I am for designing the stuff. I have the majority of the ideas for the clothes, but then I'm like self-taught on Photoshop, not to a very good level. So I'll make like a really crap mock-up, and then I'll be like, right, can you guys like see this through? Because like this is the idea, but you guys will make it look way more sexy. And then they do. And the whole like sustainability aspect of the clothing is something that kind of adds a lot more meaning to it for me, because it's cool making my own stuff that I get to wear every day and enjoying that. But then there's the other side of it where it's good quality stuff that feels good, it's comfortable, it's actually good for the planet, well, better for the planet than Boohoo or, you know, loads of other brands. And I think that, again, like that marginal step towards getting fashion on a better platform for sustainability and things is just like what I'm trying to do. It doesn't have to be perfect and sustainable, because fashion isn't sustainable, but at least I'm like making those movements towards it, which will hopefully start to shift like other brands and stuff. Yeah.
Do you find people buying stuff because of the environmental?
It's a good
benefits?
question. I was literally about to touch on it, and I was like, "No, I'm going to stop."
Or is it sort of like a nice to have thing on top?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I feel like, and that's exactly what I want to do, is not be all about like, I love how like Patagonia and other brands talk about the sustainability and things, but I feel like a lot of people, especially within my like demographic, probably don't care as much about it. They just want to look cool and like wear something that's comfortable and feels good and lasts for a long time or whatever. And so that's the kind of idea, is to like infuse the convenience of the sustainability. So like I do mention in the marketing, this t-shirt is sustainably made and it's made with renewable energy and yada, yada, yada. But I don't touch on it too much, because I feel like people are buying it and inadvertently being sustainable in a way, which I think's even better, because like it's just cutting that non-sustainable choice out, and eventually that's what it will be in the fashion market. I don't think in like 20 years time, I don't think it'll be possible to buy many products that aren't sustainably or responsibly sourced. I'd like to think anyway, but yeah, that's the whole idea, is making it more convenient and subconsciously buying sustainable.
I agree. I think the way I see it, I mean, feel free to disagree with this, but is, as you said, like in 10, 20 years, everything will be sustainable. So having it as a differentiator is probably not actually a good idea. Everyone's going to.
It's unsustainable.
Yeah, exactly. Because like people, you're not going to drive that much consumer habit from just being sustainable.
Yeah.
And B, everyone's going to have it soon. So then if that is your only thing that you're working off, then
definitely
probably it's not going to last that long. I mean, I bought these Vijas primarily because they look nice, and then like the sustainability thing is nice.
Exactly. But then that's what I'm thinking about at the moment, is like a lot of the brands that I even sell on the website or that I've been buying in the past, like Supreme. Supreme does look great, and the quality is really high on it, but the sustainability aspect isn't there. So why not make it look great, feel good, last a long time, and be a responsibly sourced product at the same time? Like, it just doesn't, like, it may as well just combine all of those things in one.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Like, I don't buy many things because they're sustainable, and quite often the sustainable products are more ugly than the non-sustainable products. So that's why I'm trying to make stuff that's looks cool and does good.
On building the brand in Depop, what was the hardest thing you found, or across all platforms, what was the hardest thing about building that brand?
I mean, the good thing for me was that like I was never really that set on like using Depop and stuff. Like I know a lot of people that I interact with within the community. They are solely based on Depop or eBay or Vinted or whatever, and that works for them. But I always kind of viewed it as like a short-term thing, because that the fee just took the piss for me, like losing 10% every time I sold something on there. I'd constantly try and get around it and be like, like message me on Instagram or like, but then obviously they start to plug that now and they're like, we'll ban you. So that was obviously unsustainable way of trying to get sales outside of Depop. The hardest thing, I guess, like, especially with selling a product that isn't yours uniquely, like the Solus products are, just kind of getting that exposure and getting people to buy from you. But again, I never really like struggled that much with selling stuff. I'd buy things that I wanted to buy from Supreme. I'd never really like worry too much that I wouldn't be able to sell it, because I'd buy something that I genuinely wanted to buy myself, and then I just knew that there would be a resale for it. So, and there luckily always turned out to be. I only got stuck with a few things. But yeah, I guess the harder thing for me now is actually growing Solus as its own brand, because that's just a completely different ball game. You've got to convince someone to not buy a Stussy t-shirt or a Supreme t-shirt for the same price as my Solus t-shirts. And it's like, why? Like, because a lot of people do buy for the brand. And so you've got to make sure that the design is like up there, or the fit, or whatever it is. But, you know, people aren't just going to buy from a small brand just because you're a small brand. You do have to convince them. And I think we're slowly getting to that point now. We do have like a decent following of people who will religiously message me every week or buy my stuff every time it releases, which is just like crazy, like to see slowly getting that that following.
How are you getting people to buy your brand at the same price as Stussy?
I think it helps that I'm like quite a big face of my brand. And it's quite crazy. Like when I look at it and I think about the Solus brand, and I think that's kind of just like a big representation of me. So like when I jump on a story and I do like video stories, or I just have a bit of a laugh with people, like I think that just kind of adds a bit of character to it. And I have people messaging me, like asking me how I'm doing, like calling me Ollie, which is weird because like I'm like this is my Solus account. Like, how the fuck do you know my name's Ollie? Or I bumped into people in the streets and they've been like, oh, you're Mr Solus. And it's only been like a couple times, but I'm like, what? Like, this is
isn't that in the hometown, or is that
no? Like that was in Cardiff. One time I was studying for my exams in a cafe in Cardiff, and I went to the toilets, and I was just washing my hands when this guy was staring at me by the sinks, and I was like, what's this guy's problem? Like, all I'm doing is washing my hands. Like 20 seconds, I know, I get it. And he was like, sorry, like, are you Mr. Solus? And I was like, yes. And I had my mask on as well, so I was even more like just gobsmacked. And he recognized me by the clothes I was wearing, and tried to shake my hand, and obviously I was like, oh, like wet hands. So we elbow bumped, and he said how he'd been following me for ages, and we'd spoken a bit, and like once he showed me his Instagram, I was like, oh my god, like I recognize you. So shout out Harrison. But yeah, it's happened a couple of times, and it's just like it's just a bit mad, especially with the pop-ups and stuff. I've had a couple people specifically travel for that, and that's like, I don't really make money from Solus as of yet, so it's more like a passion project at the same time as like, just as most entrepreneurs do, just like going for it. And like obviously loads of startups fail, especially like clothing businesses and stuff, so you've just got to kind of just go for it and just ignore all the negativity.
Kind of just got to close your eyes and wish for the best.
Wish for the best, and just believe in what you're doing. And like that's what, as I said, like I make stuff that I want to buy, and like I know that people will probably want to buy it as well, and if they don't, then it's a shame, but at least I've got something that I want to wear, even if I've got like 10 boxes of it. But luckily it does sell.
In terms of kind of marketing, pure marketing, are you doing any paid ads, or is it all just organic, community based, word of mouth?
So a lot of it has been community based, word of mouth stuff. I put up a TikTok the other day. I've been trying to do TikTok for a long time. Well, not really a long time. I say a long time. It's probably not that long compared to other people who are actually successful on it. And it's quite demotivating when you see like 1,000 views or less on a video, and you're like, wow, like I put some time into that, like, and I got nothing. And like, it's obviously just like learning how the algorithm works and stuff, and I clearly don't know that. But I posted a video the other day, and it got 52,000 views or something in 24 hours. Wow. And I was buzzing, and it was going just up and up and up. Like every time I refreshed it, it'd be like up another few thousand views. And I was like, oh my God, like this is what I've been needing. Gained loads of followers from it. It was brilliant. And then TikTok removed the video. So
why?
Well, it's the next product. It's based on Dave, the rapper. So it's a Santan Dave credit card, and the video shows the front and the back of the credit card. And I'm hoping that it was like a AI thing, and it noticed the numbers on it and was like, oh, this guy's found someone's credit card and is sharing their information online, and it's gone viral. So they removed it. I'm assuming it's that. I hope it's no like copyright stuff, because like I don't really want to get into hot water with that stuff. But I'm just a big Dave fan, and he hasn't made this, so I thought I'll make it. Yeah.
Fair play. What do you think the difference was with that TikTok content versus the ones you've done before? I mean, we've been trying to have a couple of goes on TikTok, and it is not easy.
Yeah, it's well, this one, ironically, and I've heard it a lot of times, and it's easier said than done, but this video specifically was just super simple. It was like 5 seconds, which like I don't think I've posted a 5-second video before. Really eye-catching straight away. The sound was quite apt for what it was. It was like taking the piss out of NFTs. And obviously it's a physical card. It was like, oh my God, this is an NFT you can hold. And like, so just, I don't know. I think there were just a combination of really good things that worked together with it. But yeah, I think going into the future, I think editing it really smoothly is quite important. And there's some good apps for that. But then at the same time, not editing it too much, because like otherwise it just makes it too hard for people to follow and people just swipe off. But yeah, I haven't got the answer for the algorithm. I think just simplicity and just keep consistently putting stuff out, and then eventually, hopefully, one of them will pop off.
So how many videos did it take for yours to?
Oh God, I think I've probably put, like, I say I've been doing it for a while, but I haven't. I've probably done like 30 videos or something, maybe. I don't even. It's probably not even that. But the good thing is that like once you've put all of those videos up, and once you've like clearly documented them on your profile, then when people view that one viral video, if it's good enough, they'll go onto your profile and they'll then look for other things. So like I then saw a big influx of people then looking at every other video of mine. So like now I'm going to focus on getting like loads more content out, which is really clear to navigate, so that like if someone sees the Santander card, they'll be like, oh, like go off that, and then oh look, they've got some clothes, or like blah blah blah, and it keeps the journey going. Because I think that one video isn't enough to like earn a follow, or yeah, it's just you need to get loads of shit out there.
Did you see an increase in sales when that video kind of popped off?
I had an influx of people on the website, but they were specifically looking for the Dave stuff.
Oh.
And but I've luckily quite clearly signposted on my website that to be able to know about the drop and stuff, you need to sign up to the newsletter, and then the drop is actually in about 2 weeks' time. So I made sure they knew that it wasn't there, but it was coming. Yeah. So hopefully enough of those people actually got the message. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Interesting. I just wanted to kind of circle back to something you said at the start, which was obviously you transitioned to selling kind of Solus Supply, Solus branded products, right, versus other items. What was the process like in finding the people who could kind of design it properly for you, the manufacturer, making sure it's comfortable, environmentally friendly, etc.?
I use a really good blank supplier called Stanley Stella. So they're pretty much accessed from most screen printing or DTG printing studios in the UK. And all of those blanks are printed, well, they're all made from organic cotton, so like no pesticides and things during the farming. And they're all like made using the renewable energy. All the workers that go into like sewing it all together get paid a fair wage. And then you just literally have to trial and error finding different suppliers for one, the t-shirt, and two, the printing and the labels and whatnot for your t-shirt. So I've got one in London, but I know loads, and I quite often just send them all like a batch email, like with the artwork, and I'll be like, look, this is the artwork I want done, printed onto this, this and this, however many t-shirts, send it off and see who comes back with, yes, we can do it, or no, we can't, or however much it is.
Interesting.
And back to the designs were, as I said, I'd say, yeah, pretty much every design so far that I've come out with has been something from my head, and then I then either design it myself, but I don't think I've actually printed one that I've fully designed myself yet. They've been then more often like I have the kind of vision for it, and then I've got a couple people who I know either through social media or through like job adverts I've posted and stuff, who will then, I can then send that concept to, and then we kind of like meet in the middle. And it's quite cool to see like where they put their design kind of aspect into it and their perspective, because I'm a business management student. Like I've never learned anything about fashion. It's just all completely self-learned from selling it. So
you didn't learn that much about business management at uni either.
Well, yeah, I learned a little bit, but like I actually didn't really feel like I learned that much. But I had a great time anyway. So whatever.
We both did business management, and
yeah, I think
probably useful about 15% of it.
Yeah, exactly. It reinforced a lot of stuff that I already knew, but like I feel like I'd already kind of educated myself a lot with that, because I was always reading business books, and like I just love like learning more stuff about business and behavioral economics and boring stuff. So going to uni was a good choice, but at the same time, yeah, I didn't specifically learn that much, but I'd still recommend people go to uni. It's a good experience. It's good fun.
Yeah.
One of the things that a few of the people on the show have talked about is wholesale selling and distributing the products. Obviously wholesale as opposed to the consumer side. Have you dipped your toes into that at all?
I haven't yet. There's no plans to do that as of yet. I feel like it's difficult, especially when this like a brand is your baby and stuff, and you don't want to like just send it out everywhere and then not. I can't really think of many like stores that I'd really want my stuff to be stocked in. But also like my collections are quite small at the moment, so I'll only release like a t-shirt or a t-shirt and an accessory. So that's also again quite difficult to just get stocked into a store, just a t-shirt. My quantities are quite low for what I produce. And also I just like kind of being able to control the whole distribution and everything from my website. I send out, stickers with each order, a handwritten note. It normally just says their name and my name and then some other pre-printed text. But I just feel like those things wouldn't be delivered if I were to get stocked at end, let's say, or even though that would be amazing, that would be very nice. So yeah, I'm not knocking it, but maybe in the future.
And with the ideas for all of these little projects, different releases, what's the creative process look like for you? Because we've had people come on here who is very varied how people come up with ideas. Do they just pop into your head, or are you finding it more that there's a process you actually go through?
Completely pop into my head. Like it's weird. I've had it recently. I was at a pop-up event in London a couple of weeks ago, and people were like, "Oh my God, like Ollie's a creative too." Like brought me into the conversation, and were like, "Oh, like this is Ollie. Like he's an artist." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Am I?" Like I was like, "Shit, maybe I am." I've never really classed myself as like a creative person.
Yeah,
I have like ideas, but like I feel like I'm not as creative because I can't make it. But then again, like I still have the vision for what it is. I just don't have the tools to do it.
Yeah.
So luckily, I have other people who can do. So like for the Kanye tee, see that. That was I was listening to Kanye's song "Last Call" in The College Dropout, and it's one of my favorite songs of his. And in the song, he refers to an African American Express. And I was just walking along one day, which is where I have most of my ideas. It's like when I'm driving, on the train, cycling, running, gym, whatever. That's weirdly where I get ideas from. And I heard that line, and I was like, oh my God, that would be such a cool, like, I love hijacking like other previously existing things and then making them Solus's own thing. So even like the Solus logo, which is like an E18 logo, that was the first thing that I think we designed for Solus. And that was, again, just, I like the kind of pop culture reference and acknowledgement, but at the same time making it Solus's own thing. So yeah, I think I've only very rarely have I sat down and thought, right, I need to come up with the next t-shirt or whatever. I think they kind of just come along, and then I've got so many notes written down on my notes app, and I've just random like t-shirt, or like this hoodie back print, and like, I've just got to like, I look at it a few days later and I'm like, what was I talking about? And then eventually it comes back to me.
So when you're waking up at 3 a.m,
writing
it down quickly and then going back to bed.
That does happen. Yeah. It's not normally mid sleep. It's normally like when I'm trying to go to sleep, and then I'll be like thinking about stuff, and then like suddenly an idea will come through, and for me, I have to write it down, because if I don't, I'll be like, I did it literally last week. I was like, that's such a great idea. I'm definitely going to remember that in the morning. Like, how could I forget such a fantastic idea?
Yeah.
And then woke up in the morning and I was like, what was that idea? Like, no idea. So just, you gotta write these things down.
For sure.
And also I like writing stuff down because I've actually come to the end of my notepad, but got it in my bag right now, and I need to get a new one. And I feel like it's quite important to look after these things, and they're like an artifact of like, I can look back in 5 years' time and be like, oh my God, like little Ollie was worried about selling 30 t-shirts, and now look at me, or like, God, I was selling t-shirts, now I'm doing who knows what. So it's really cool to see that journey and the progress.
For sure. Kind of segues us on to next question, which is, what does the future look like for Ollie and also for Solus?
I have no idea. I finished uni last year in July, whenever it was. And the time has flown since then. I went straight into being a self-employed brand owner. And as I said before the podcast started, Solus makes me a little bit of money, but like, it's more, I want to put that money back into the business and keep it going and growing the product lines. It's quite cash flow intensive. Like, when you want to print 100 t-shirts, you need to have a significant amount of cash ready to spend. And then it's a bit of a gamble whether you're actually going to sell all of them and stuff. So I want to keep as much money in the business as possible. So with that being said, I then started Solus Lab, which is it's quite difficult to put my finger on what it is at the moment. I'm calling it a creative solutions agency. So it will just involve anything creative wise. So whether that's rebranding a business, or getting them onto a website and selling their products, or social media marketing on TikTok and Instagram. I'm helping a few local businesses already, and that is now going to be like something that I work on to develop my skills that are already existing, and which will then help me with running Solus, but also get me some money that I can actually work on that and then afford to make Solus just work in the meantime and continue making some small losses and just live my life with Solus Lab, hopefully.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, I keep getting distracted with the questions. Going into the future, Solus Supply with the clothing side of things. I've got a corduroy shirt that we've just sampled. I don't know why I say we, it's just me.
You've got to say we. No one says I.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just you.
I sometimes go through with saying I, and then I'm like, yeah, we does sound better in some circumstances.
So how many of you is it? We've got a couple.
It's me and my dad, to be honest. It's me and my dad. Yeah, my dad's a massive help. So he helps me package stuff and get things out. Sometimes, like when I'm in London, if I make a sale and I really like to get stuff out as soon as possible, I will jump on the Mule app. And I'll input all of the stuff and I'll send him the shipping label and I'll be like, print the first page, not both pages, like So he's getting quite good at it now, which is amazing. But yeah, going more into just lifewear, which is what I'm trying to build on, which is like, it's just making products that like are usable in a lot of circumstances. So like this is like quite a smart casual shirt that you could wear to like podcast, or you could wear on a night out or like whatever, trying to make them as sustainably as possible, and just kind of branch out the collections really. It's pretty sick just making products and then seeing them actually in real life, and it's even better seeing people buy it
and wear it
and share it on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And then like I've had it once where I've bumped into someone, sort of bumped into them. They came to my pop-up and they were wearing my t-shirt and I was just like dealing with some stuff, and I looked up from my table and this guy was wearing my t-shirt and I was like, wait, that's like, it's not a friend of mine, like I don't even recognize this guy. And he was like, oh hi, like I've traveled 2 hours to come here to like come to your pop-up, can I buy like everything Solus? And I was like, oh my god, like he's traveled 2 hours and he wants to buy like just all of my products on the table. Like this is just weird. Like
it wasn't the same guy in the loo, was it?
No, it wasn't. If it was, it would begin a bit weird. But
that's when the red flag.
Yeah.
Up.
No, it wasn't. Thankfully, but yeah. Obviously, I started this leaflet business thing. I started a clothing thing. Now it's a marketing agency. The dream would be to kind of make Solus like a virgin and just kind of have a Solus group and just have loads of crazy ideas and just make them all and see if that works. I mean, I've got loads of ideas that I want to get going, but it's just having the time and the money. So for now, Solus Lab and Solus Supply are my main focuses.
Yeah, we always have so many things you could do, but
I've got some like multi-million £1 ideas. I can't act on them because one, I haven't got like the infrastructure for it, and two, just no time, expertise, money. So yeah, maybe one day we'll see.
We like to say that a business dies of indigestion more often than starvation.
Yes, that's very true. It's very true. Yeah, it's better to focus on less is more, really. You know, I've got enough on my plate already. I don't want to get indigestion.
Last question from me is, obviously you've read a lot of business books. What would you say that the kind of top 3 books are that you've read, and how have they kind of played into your ability as an entrepreneur?
Tough. Off the top of my head, I'd have to say I've read recently 12 Rules for Life by Stephen Bartlett. That's really good. He's so cool. I actually saw him at an awards event in November or December, and then after that I was like, shit, I've got to get this book and just learn everything I possibly can about him. So like I listened to his podcast all the time, read his book in a few days. The book is really good even for people who don't like reading or consider themselves a reader, because when I was reading it, especially as being like a young entrepreneur, I was reading stuff and being like, shit, I could have written this. Like, not to say that like I'm Stephen Bartlett's level, but like the way he was writing it was like, wow, this is really like nicely worded for a 20-something-year-old to read and actually like relate to and understand, as opposed to like Alan Sugar's book, which was like, you know, his life started in the 40s. So like, it's not very many comparables now, but like Stephen Bartlett's is very relatable. And yeah, his whole journey and his whole perspective and outlook on life kind of made me think about stuff and be like, yeah, just have a read. Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. That's also a really good book. Helps because I'm like a big Steve Jobs Apple fan. So that just made sense to read. But again, kind of just went off on his own, did his own thing. And like, well, just look at what Apple is today. It's incredible. And he was a real trailblazer and pioneer. So that was just a cool one to read. And Phil Knight's Shoe Dog, the founder of Nike, again, really cool. And a few relatables again with the whole fashion. I went traveling in 2017 and I went to Japan and went to a few other places in Asia. And so that was again like a lot of like, probably subconsciously, a lot of like inspiration and things for me, just absorbing all the cultures and stuff. So yeah, that was again a really good book to read. Oh god, there's so many books that I would put in. Oh, and it's not called 12 Rules for Life. It's Happy Sexy Millionaire by Stephen Bartlett. 12 Rules for Life I'm currently reading by Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And that's very good, to be fair. But it's quite long.
Yeah.
Halfway through so far.
Interesting. I think it's quite interesting because I find the biographies, in many cases more interesting than a business book specific to a topic, for example.
Yeah.
So like a business book on marketing versus a biography of someone who was successful. Because I feel like by reading the story of how they did it and kind of noticing how they made decisions in certain situations and what their kind of personality is.
Yeah.
I find that very interesting because you can try to replicate that versus kind of, you know, a specific area where.
Yeah, absolutely. And and a lot of these books, the marketing books and stuff, which I've read a few of them and I'm just like, oh my God, it's just like obviously they're trying to sell books and it's a very one size fits all. This is how you need to run a business. And I'm like, I read them, I'm like, this is applicable, but it's also not applicable at the same time. So like, what's the point? But yeah, I completely agree. That's pretty much that Alan Sugar book. I read Alan Sugar's book. What was it? See, what you see is what you get, or something like that. And then Duncan Bannatyne's book. I started going through like all the dragons, and Ben and Jerry's and Innocent Smoothies. And those books were like what I was reading when I was like 13, 14. And they like all really inspired me. And that was again, like not a theory thing. That was a reality. Like the Innocent Smoothies founders, they just pitched up a smoothie stall at a festival and asked people whether they think they should ditch their day jobs and start making smoothies. So like a lot of those things then started making me think like, shit, how could I do that? Or like Alan Sugar used to get textiles and fabrics and sell them to some dude down at the market in London. So I was like, how can I start doing that? And then I was like, I can't, like it's just not a market for that anymore. And then I started the leaflet distribution thing. So yeah, I mean, having not read those books or you know, had that, I probably wouldn't be here today. I don't know what I'd be doing.
Yeah. It's interesting that the practical versus the theoretical, that's a very interesting way to look at it.
Yeah. And like, again, like having been to uni and studied business management, like so many of the, and I don't know how many people in my lectures were actually running a business or had business experience. Yeah. I spoke in a couple of my classes actually to my classmates about it. And yeah, a lot of them were quite surprised because I didn't really like shout about it when I was at school or at uni. It's just something I did. Again, it's not like I think that's the best way to do it, this sort of stuff. Like for like advice for people who want to start is like do something that you just enjoy doing. Like I didn't really enjoy doing the leaflet stuff. That was just something that made me money. So like I cut doing that and then I started doing the clothing thing. And now like I'm making an impact with sustainability and fashion. And at the same time, I get to make cool stuff that I get to use and wear every day. So like, it's just like a double whammy for me. And it's something that doesn't really feel like work. Like I could be on my laptop at 11 p.m. filling out orders or replying to customers or measuring stuff. And although sometimes it's like, oh, like I'm knackered. At the same time, it doesn't feel like I'm working. Like I think I'd probably feel that a lot more if I was working for someone else and they message me like, hey, Ollie, could you do that? But instead, because I enjoy it and it's my thing, I'm just like, I'm more than happy to wake up at silly times and reply to customers in America or do whatever it is.
Yeah. Interesting.
Awesome. Well, that's all from me as well, mate. Thanks so
Cool.
much for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, we're looking forward to a future with Solus Supply Mule.
Definitely. I mean, we haven't really spoken much about Mule in general.
That's right.
Yeah, this is mainly just to kind of understand you and your business and you know how you've grown it and stuff. Just so other people can.
Well, a quick point. Mule does actually really help me with my international sales. I'm not being paid to say this. Not yet, anyway. Because obviously I was using Royal Mail before, and the delivery times and stuff were just so. You could never promise a specific time for anything being delivered. So I'd always, and you get charged a bit more as well, or more or less. I'm probably like the more or less what I use DHL Express or Norsk. So again, fairly similar pricing to Royal Mail, but I actually know that it's going to get delivered within a week, and hopefully we're going to avoid some customs fees. We'll see. But with Royal Mail, I'd sent something to Romania the other week, and that was a big regret because it took, I think, 3 or 4 weeks to get to Romania. And once it got there, it couldn't be delivered. And so it got sent back to the UK. And I was like, why didn't I just use Mule and just like pay that extra few quid? Because it was something small. Like I didn't really want to use DHL for it. And I was like, why didn't I just use it? Because like I look like a dick now. Like it's got to Romania and it's got back and it took a month. And yeah. So yeah, Mule is a lifesaver. It's saved me some money, and it's definitely earned me a lot of customers internationally who now rely upon me as being quite a reliable and quick sender. Like some of my products get there in like 24 hours to Germany, and I'm like,
that's brilliant,
mind blowing. Like just watching the tracking process, and I'm like, how is it already like in Munich? Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's it's a big help internationally anyway.
Well, we appreciate that. That's exactly what we like to hear from our customers.
Yeah, well, we had that cool, what was it, last year, going over like some of the product features and stuff, and it's sick to be able to like help morph it in a way that works for like me as the end user, because like obviously Royal Mail or Hermes or Every or whatever it's called, those things it's very rigid and it doesn't really work half the time. But for Mule, it was like we had those phone calls, or like I'd send in a message and be like, can you just move that around? And then like a week later, I'd see the update and I'd be like, this is so much easier. Like, yeah. So it's cool to, be in like a community of like small entrepreneurs that are all trying to go somewhere.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, customer feedback and the community is just like the number one thing for us.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it makes sense, right? If a customer's saying we'd like to see this feature, like we might as well build it because they know better than we do.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's interesting. I mean, one of the things that we're doing is the international shipping is, I mean, because for a bit of context, obviously, after Brexit, international shipping has become so difficult, right? And so many small businesses have shut their stores to international orders. And, we're spending a lot of time now just trying to come up with new ways, new features, new shipping options to kind of bring back the pre-Brexit shipping market for small businesses. That's a big area of focus and definitely the one that we want to kind of keep doing.
Yeah, such a ball ache, honestly.
It's tough.
It is so annoying. I had to send something to Jersey the other day and I had to fill out a customs form for it at Royal Mail at the post office. And I was like, what? It's going to Jersey? Like why? But yeah, very annoying. And again, Mule makes that very easy with customs information and stuff. And I just like click through, bingo, done.
Excellent.
Don't have to worry about it.
Well, more things on the way.
Definitely.
We'll keep you posted.
Definitely, mate.